Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 3, Long Time. Excuse me. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, also hit that like button and the share button as well. And if you feel like gambling, you can hit that bell down below, and YouTube may or may not notify you when I come on live. Best thing to do is go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I put up there. I change it every week. Just change it out today, as a matter of fact. And also have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. All right, let's get to it, shall we? Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not watched the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Give you enough time to pause, all that kind of good stuff. All right. So, I know there are people that have played the game, of course. I'm not one of them. And I guess the character Bill is by himself in the game. So they've changed this a bit from, to the show from the game. Obviously, they're going to do that with some of the stuff. And in the game, they do make mention of Frank as the partner that Bill had lost. And now we get to see that in this version of this. We do have Joel and Ellie. They are in the beginning of this and they are at the end of this. But in between, it's all Bill and Frank's story and basically how they came to be together in this apocalypse, in this wasteland, if you will. And I'm going to say this: it's a good story, but also at the same time a depressing story too. It's in no way does it take away from anything. There's going to be, and I'm going to say this right now, there's going to be a lot of people out there that are going to be homophobes about this kind of stuff. Honestly, just grow the fuck up. I mean, they're all walks of life of people, and this is just another story. If you don't like it, don't watch it. You can go to episode 4 if you want to, but you're still going to miss some stuff in between all of this. So, you see Bill, this survivalist, uh, how he kind of hides out. Well, first we kind of get an explanation from Joel as to why all these dead bodies are in this ditch, skeletonized bodies at this point. And he says that early on, the military basically rounded up people that were in, suburban areas, said they were taking them to a quarantine zone, and some of them did make it to a quarantine zone, but a lot of them didn't. They got killed. They got shot along the way because dead people don't get infected. It's simple as that. And we actually see this. That's how we kind of transition over to Bill's story. And he was in that town where those people had been taken from, and he was the last one left. He basically hid out in a bunker that he had made underneath the house and all of that. And of course, a couple of years later, after he's made some renovations to the town and kind of walled it off, he meets Frank, and Frank is on his way to Boston, trying to make his way to Boston, and stumbles into a trap that Bill had made, obviously. And um, they end up, finding each other, falling in love, and so this is a tale of two people and what happens to them in the apocalypse. That life doesn't just end just because there's an apocalypse. There, life goes on. Shit happens during life, and that's pretty much what this is all about. Is that this episode, I should say, is all about is that stuff happens in life. A lot of bad shit, some good shit, good shit as well, and uh, it happens as you're moving along. That's what happens here. One thing I do have to note, though, one of the interesting things going back to Joel and Ellie when they're kind of walking along, and Ellie asks, "How did the infection spread so quickly? How did it spread all in one day?" And Joel, she goes, was it monkeys or something like that? And Joel actually comes up with a pretty good theory. He says people said it was probably the food supply. And again, I've done a little research on this, of course. In the game, I guess there is a newspaper that Joel does look at in the game, and it does say something about the FDA looking into contaminated crops, and they have a list of contaminated crops, all that kind of stuff. So it does spread through the food supply, and in the game. Um, he actually speculates in the show, Joel, that it probably came through the grain as well. Um, Flour, cornmeal, pancake mix, he says, even. And if you remember from the first episode, his daughter was trying to make some pancakes, but they were out of pancake mix. Um, he was supposed to pick up a birthday cake. Remember, he was supposed to pick up a birthday cake. He never picked up the birthday cake. So that all that kind of stuff probably saved their ass. That Joel was so busy doing other stuff that he was forgetful to buy any of the grain products that were most likely already tainted and got people infected. So that's how he made it through. So we have an explanation of how Joel made it through that weekend, at least, because he said it started on a Thursday, Friday, and basically by Monday everything was gone. So that's where we're at on all of this. CBM says the second episode hints at it because the infected worker was at a flour factory. Exactly, CBM, same thing. So, but this kind of concrete cements it in a bit more there. And I liked how they did that. That was a nice thing. But going back to Bill and Frank, I mean, you get to see them when how Joel and Tess meet them as well, and how Frank was actually the one to talk to Tess over the radio, invite them in. And Bill is not a people person, obviously. He's got his gun pointed at Joel the entire time. And y- you know, Tess and Frank getting along fairly well, and Joel finally talking Bill into going, you know what, we have some stuff in the quarantine zone you're gonna need. Like that whole, fence is getting ready to come down at least in the next year. I've got 10 spools of stuff that'll last you your entire time, your entire lifetime. And so we see at the very end of this, or near the end of this, Frank he has a terminal illness at some point. He's not doing well, and he wants to end it. And he says, "I just want one perfect day from you," is what he tells Bill. And then at the end of it, he's going to take a bunch of pills, crushed up in the wine, of course, and go to sleep, and that's how it's going to end. And Bill decides that it's over for him as well. And the thing is, um, in video games you see, when you lose your life, obviously it's a bad thing. In this, you can see that them going out together is actually a good thing. I mean, they're going out on their own terms, and they're going out happy at this point. So that, was something there. And then at the very end of all of this, you know you've got the note that's left aside, that Ellie is reading to Joel, the suicide note, if you will. And Bill, basically saying, you know what, whatever you want, it's yours. Just don't go up into the bedroom. We've left the window open so the house doesn't smell. Just leave us alone as it is. And Bill also says, the important thing is take care of people. Take care of Tess, which fucking just wrecks Joel, because after what happened here, you know, he has to actually start thinking about taking care of Ellie at this point, and looking at her as more of a burden, and more as something that could help everyone, and he has to protect her at this point. And so it's kind of driving that whole narrative forward at this point. And he mentions to Ellie that his brother is out in Wyoming someplace, and knows the Fireflies as well, was part of the Fireflies, and that if anyone knows how to get in touch with the people on the west coast of the Fireflies, it would be his brother. And that's who they're going to go and find, and that's why they use the truck. And And I love how Bill actually has all the components for a battery inside the refrigerator so that Joel can build the battery, the truck battery, and get the battery, the truck going again. CBM says it feels a lot better than killing their gay characters violently, no bearing. Yeah, exactly, exactly. CBM. Um, yeah, there is a trope of yeah, burying your gays is what it's called, and yes, this does not do that. This show doesn't do that. They did a good job of this. I mean, the producer, if you watch the after credits where the producers are talking about it, the actors, the producers, all them, and one of the producers, the showrunner, actually is saying that he's seen this show 200 times because obviously he's been editing and all that stuff, and he says he cries every time. Um, and yes, I mean it's for me it was more uh it was sad, it was more depressing for me than anything else. I mean, I understand, I got the story, it's a very heartfelt story, and it actually does tie into this. And again, I'm gonna go back to The Walking Dead and say this is probably as good as some of the early episodes on in The Walking Dead. And again, I can't help but compare it to that because it is the same genre. It is the same, you have the same kind of stories happening too. So it's hard to not compare the two, obviously. Um, but a good job, obviously, all the way around. And this is a good series. It's already been greenlit for a season two. We already know that after the second episode there. And looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this. And hopefully it gets more steam and doesn't, well, I mean, hopefully it doesn't go the way that Walking Dead did. I don't need this going 10 seasons. We can go like, 4 or 5 seasons, something like that, and then end it after that. And then maybe do something else. You could do something within that world. You don't need to keep going with the same characters and, I guess you could say beating a dead horse at that point. So really good stuff. And also, it's interesting seeing the world through Ellie's eyes, where she has read about a lot of stuff of what the world like it was before and heard about a lot of stuff, but hasn't experienced all of it. So, of course, she's asking Joel all these questions, and Joel isn't really listening, I guess you could say. He's not really paying attention to her, and he's obviously wallowing in his own grief at this point too. And he kind of, at the very beginning of it, he does blame her for Tess's death, and she calls him out on it and says, "Hey, no one forced you to come along. You and Tess, you both knew the dangers. You know what was going on. Don't blame me for her death." And that's where it kind of ends. I kind of like that, where, you don't have this long, drawn out animosity going on between two characters for something that's not anyone's fault, you know? So that was also good too, of just getting rid of that animosity between two characters and just ending it right there. So good stuff. And again, these are the people that have been, they did Chernobyl, the miniseries Chernobyl, so they are good at what they're doing, obviously. So with that said, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Tomorrow is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? That's right, it's coming back. Is It Worth My Time? I'm going to be doing the show Extraordinary that's on Hulu. Uh, so there's a show on Hulu called Extraordinary. I'll talk about that. It's all 8 episodes are up right now. Wednesday is going to be The Bad Batch. Thursday I'll be off. Friday will be The Legend of Vox Machina. That's episodes 7 through 9. Yes, 7 through 9 for The Legend of Vox Machina. And is that the final one? 1, 2, 3. No, we have one more week after that. And then, of course, I'm going to be off Saturday and Sunday, and then we roll back around to The Last of Us on Monday. So, with that said, CBM says I finished Extraordinary, but I'll leave that off for when that comes up. Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. All right. With that, I'm going to let you guys go for the rest of the night. Thank you to, well, CBM who joined me in the chat. I know there's other lurkers out there. That's why I keep looking up. I can actually see the count right over around. here. So of people that are here. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may end up, having to go through a retrospective of people's lives, and it's kind of depressing sometimes, especially when it's in the apocalypse. Thanks, everybody. Also, let me wrap things up here too. If you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button. And if you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And you can always go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media and links to my pages there as well. Now I'm going to let you go for the rest of the night. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, get the boosters as well. It doesn't work without the boosters. And take care out there, everyone. See you again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your night. Good night, everyone.